going to break one. They're kind of fun.
Picture of it for you. They look pretty good, I think.
I always like to line my pans before I use them. So what I do is I take a piece of parchment paper and I cut it a little bigger than the pan. And then what I'll do, I'll take this off and I'll just cut into the corners like this. Put this back in, push it down into the pan, and these corners here will fold over. If you didn't go deep enough, just cut them a little more. If you just bring the two pieces of paper this way, it makes a little corner. Then you're ready to pour your batter in. This recipe has 3 parts, and it may seem complicated, but if you get organized about it, it's not that difficult. Okay, so what I did was I took a cookie sheet and I put all my ingredients for the cake batter. I put a little label there on the cookie sheet so I could always remind myself which one to put the ingredients on. This plate here is for the filling that's going to go in between the 2 layers of batter. This is just a little bowl to mix those ingredients. And then this plate here, I have the ingredients for the topping. It goes on the top of the batter before you put it in the oven. Now the oven is also set at 350. As I put this recipe together, I will show you what's on each plate. And I'm going to put the recipe down below also. When we put this cake together, we're going to put half of the batter down into the pan first, and then we're going to sprinkle this little filling. It's a dry filling. That's, of course, 1 cup of brown sugar. And then this is a 1.5 tablespoons of cinnamon and 1 teaspoon of cocoa, unsweetened cocoa. So we're just going to combine all these ingredients in this bowl. So this is going to be dry, so when we sprinkle this over the half of the batter, it's just going to be sprinkling it. It's not going to be pouring it. It'll be easy. So we're going to keep this little label with it. The more organized you get with this recipe, the easier it is. Once I made the recipe and I didn't do that, and I got all confused, what was the topping, which one was the filling. So really, honestly, this may seem silly, but it really does help. Now on this plate, I have the topping. So here I have 6 tablespoons of butter, which I'm going to microwave. So there's our 6 tablespoons of butter melted. And this is about 1/8 teaspoon of salt, 1 tablespoon of cinnamon in 1.5 cups of flour. And then here I have 1.25 cups of sugar. But I'm going to put this down below. So we're going to add this to the melted butter. Stir it around to make it crumble for the top of the batter. Or I can just keep stirring that around so it's crumbly and dry. And we'll set that aside with our label. Again, it says topping. So I've got all my ingredients ready here. I brought over my cake tray. So I have measured 2 teaspoons of vanilla. And I'm going to put, like I said, I'm going to put this recipe below. But I'm going to use my beater. And we'll start with the butter. And this is 3/4 cup of butter. And everything is room temperature. And I'm going to put the sugar. That's 1.5 cups of white sugar, and this is 1/3 cup of brown sugar. And I always like to put my vanillas in with my fat. So we'll go ahead and get that started. Now in the meantime, I'm going to combine there's 2.5 teaspoons of baking powder, and then there is 1 teaspoon of salt. I'm going to put that in my flour, get that ready. Just going to mix it around a little bit just so it's combined. So that flour is ready. Now here I have 3 eggs. I'm going to add 1 at a time. I'll show you what this looks like. Always like to do that. So there you go. You've got your butter and your sugar combined. So I'm going to add 1 egg at a time. While I'm waiting for that to beat in, here I have 1 1/4 cups of milk, and I have 3/4 of a cup of sour cream. So I'm going to add that to my milk. And we're just going to use my little whip here just to get it combined with the milk. We'll add another egg. So we'll add the last egg. Now we're going to add the dry ingredients alternately, meaning we're going to start with dry and end with dry. So there's my flour, okay, and my baking powder and my salt. I'm going to try to add 1/3 of it, and then beat that in. We'll add 1/2 of the milk. Get it well combined, and add 1/2 of your milk. Whoop. Can't slow it down much more than that. Okay, add 1/2 of that. So you want to have some left over. Always like to check to make sure all my ingredients are gone. I didn't forget anything. Now I have some blueberries here. And what I thought I would do is on 1/2 of this 9 by 13, I'm going to sprinkle some blueberries in. I'll show you. So I'm going to add the rest of the milk. And I'm going to scrape it down. There's some dry ingredients on the side. I'm going to add the rest of the flour. You don't want to beat this too much. And that's all. That's all there is to it. So there's your batter. I'm going to bring it over to my little table. Put 1/2 of this into my pan. Do the best you can with that. Don't get crazy trying to figure all that out. You want to have a nice bottom to your pan, but you want to make sure you have enough. You want to cover the bottom nicely. That is a good indication, you know. And you want to make sure you have enough batter left that you can cover everything that you're going to put in the middle. I have my filling. Okay, so I have my little paper, so you know I'm not putting the wrong one in. So now you just want to sprinkle this all over your batter. Now what I have here is some blueberries that I'm just going to take a few handfuls of them. I'm going to put them on one side of the batter. Now I'm going to take the rest of the batter and I'm going to cover the rest of the cake. See where we need it. Now what you can do at this point is you want to take a knife and you kind of want to just go through your batter and make little swirls. It will drag the filling around. Okay, and I did that side first so I don't drag blueberries around into the side that doesn't have blueberries on it. Now we have the topping, and I have my little topping paper, and we're going to cover this with the topping. This is going to bake in the oven for about an hour. I always feel like you can't have too much topping. Maybe you can, but I always feel like maybe you can't. You have to let me know what you think. You have to try the recipe before you tell me what you think. So now I'm going to go ahead and put this in the oven. It's at 350 for about an hour, and we'll watch it. Now there's the bell. Let's see how it looks. It's been in for an hour. I was a little concerned about the blueberries getting cooked, or keeping the batter from cooking because of the moisture from the blueberries. Now there are a couple of ways to tell. My mother used to keep cigarettes in here. I keep toothpicks in it. So you can test it with a toothpick. I don't choose the center because it's going to continue to cook while it's sitting here. So I go a little further out from the center, put the toothpick in. That looks pretty clean. Now I'm afraid to actually touch it because that sugar might stick to my hands. But if I press it down and it comes back, that's looking pretty good. You can see here on the sides it's nicely cooked. So we're going to let this sit. It's really funny, I cannot tell which side the blueberries are on. So that's a mystery. So I'm going to let this sit for a few minutes and let it cool, and then we're going to cut it and see how it looks inside. That looks really wonderful.